Guys, welcome to Well on Proton Show, chasing the perfect vape.
Honestly.
Changing it up. Changing one of our own videos. We do it really quick.
Yes. You doing an introduction today or no? Okay. Right, today...
Introduce the show?
Right,
what do you want?
Today what we're doing is the Ithaka clone, which we did buy from Fasttech.com, but they're readily available. It's quite a common sort of Chinese Ithaka clone. They actually call it the Ithaka adjustable rebuildable atomizer.
In brackets, 4mm.
They're cheeky buggers. So that is what we're doing today. We did buy one of these each actually. We have got one each.
That's my one.
And that's my one. This has just been rewicked. We will show you the rewick in a memento. Price on this is, what's the price?
£23 and 13 pennies.
£23 and 13p is what we paid for this.
Pennies?
Whatever, which I mean, for a clone it's actually quite expensive. It's nearly 25 quid. But when you think an Ithaka is on the exciting side of 150, it's a lot cheaper. You could buy 7 of them and still have enough money for some wick and candle. So that is what it is. It says that it's made polycarbonate and stainless steel. The tank is a poly tank.
303 stainless.
303 stainless steel is what it's saying. So that is what it is. That's what it says. We're semi-skeptical, aren't we, as to some of these materials, because we've had stainless steel quite before from Fasttech and it hasn't been so. But we're not entirely sure. I might do a little scratch test on mine at some point and let you know. Probably on Facebook or something though. Yeah. So yeah, what should we do? Should we go down and we'll do a little rewick and then we'll come back up to us?
Just before we do that, I do want to point out this does come pre-installed. We've got a rough about 1.8 ohms coil in there.
Rip it straight out.
Don't bother.
Yeah, rip straight out. Should be aware though guys, straight away, resistance, non-resistance build, same as the genuine Ithaka. So just make sure you've got relevant materials if you're looking at buying this, obviously. And I'd recommend strongly a Zappa. Which is just, oh, I hate twisted canthal. Basically, so yeah, what we're going to do, we've got a little show and show. Sorry for the off-camera stuff, guys. Coming up now for the rewick, and then we'll come back to us and do the normal level of flapping as per the norm. Right, guys, this is the close-up of the Ithaka clone. This is it in its native parts. There is a lot there. I could just assemble it all, show you how it all goes together, but I'm being brave, so we're going to rewick it. So we're going to lose everything but this piece for the minute. Okay, this is your ceramic cup. I'll go through each individual parts, I'll put it back together, but this is what we're going to be concentrating on for the minute. For this rewick, we've got some silica, 3mm silica, and we've got another 2 pieces of 3mm silica that's slightly shorter. I'll explain that. And there is also some no res coil here, 30 gauge canthal twisted, so no, that's going to be a pain in my bum. I want to point out now categorically I hate using twisted coils, but it is what it is. So basically, starting off, we're going to have to build the coils. I think I'm going to zoom in slightly.
Zooming in.
Ooh, look at this. Right, we have to build our coils. Now the reason I've got one of these shorter than the average is I intend on cutting it to the width of that ceramic anyway. I just want to reduce wastage of my wick. What you want to do is basically start off with your pieces of wick, try and centralise them, and then our coil is literally going to be the size of that ceramic. Okay, so we're looking for the middle section in between these 2 pieces of wick, which I'm going to guesstimate to be around about there. Okay, that's where I'm going to start my wrap.
How many wraps you going for?
I have absolutely no idea. It's dictated by how much resistance wire is there. I didn't measure this at all. Complete guesstimating as per always. So basically, with the resistance, non-resistance, same as we did in the JUK 23. I don't think I better make that. Whether it will focus onto that really poor join. There you go, it's focusing. It's just twisted, but you want to start at the junction. So what I'm going to do is going to get my junction, start there, and just wrap.
Go for it.
Indeed, the worm is here. You probably will hear him in the background as I am going to be
laughing.
I'd imagine you're going to need your arse cushions, guys. I've really gone wrong. These coils are going to have to be close, guys, because of the size of that ceramic. It's not going to let you get away with murders on it, and big spacey coils.
Sorry guys, if you hear footsteps, it's me walking around just trying to get something. I'm just going to do this a little bit more professional for once. We're just going to measure how much distance is in there.
Measure how much distance is in there? I have no idea what worm is doing. Right, it is a narrow gap, guys. What I'm going to do is I'm going to basically wrap our standard coil here. That is a very sloppy coil by me, but I'm going to sort those out once I've wrapped the other one. I've actually had a chance to measure it up against the resistance, not resistance, sorry, but against the ceramic, and we have to put another wrap in that actually.
I'm on camera there, guys, but basically the gap you've got in there is 6mm, so you've got 6mm to put your coil into.
Indeed, that is atrocious. And there we go. So that's one coil, semi-wrapped. I'm going to need your gold screwdriver, mate. I'm not going to need it right now, but I'm going to need it. That is one done, and now you want to rinse and repeat for this one. So again, find the middle, start your wrap at your junction, and just go for it. Basically, is my philosophy.
I take it they were kind of the same sort of distance. Like
oh yeah, the pieces of wire are exactly the same length. So
you should get roughly the same resistance.
You want these coils to be the same as any dual coil. To be honest with you guys, you want the same front and back or left and right. Sorry, I'm well off camera, guys. All I'm doing is wrapping a coil. It just makes it easier for me to see. You want the same coil setup. You want the same resistance on each coil when you're dual coiling, because otherwise you're going to have uneven lighting and God knows what else. And as I've zoomed in, I'm off camera. Now comes the fun part. Basically, you've got your two pieces of wick. You want this one, the shorter one, at the top of your ceramic. So basically, run your wires internal like that and down the sides. So you basically pull one wire down there on one channel, and then on the other side the same channel. I'll zoom in out, guys. On the other side you want the same channel. Okay, so if it's left channel, right channel, whatever it is. Where's your Goldie? The problem with twisting Canthol, and one of the reasons I hate it, is you've got the junctions and they always interfere with whatever it is you're doing on every device, whether it be on the coil, in the setup, no matter what it is, they're always bloody in the way, and I get incredibly frustrated by them. So having to do this is a pain. Oh dear Christ. Sorry guys.
This is a fiddly one, guys.
It's the same as the Ithaka setup, but it's just the bane of my life. Got to be honest, hate setting this up, really do. This buying this would probably put me off buying an Ithaka, just because you have to do this crap with it
every time.
Each and every time. I know a lot of guys love doing it, but I'm not one of those guys.
I think it might be different when we get a zapper, and obviously those joints ain't interfering a little bit. But that
is the problem, is the joints. So basically that is what we end up with, guys. Okay, that's one coil done. It kind of holds itself, semi-holds itself, but not as much as you'd like, basically. So you've now got to rinse and repeat with the other one while trying to maintain that coil, which is always fun. So basically, that one's actually gone in not too bad. It's the same with the wire on the opposite side, guys. Pull it into the channel, and then you want to trap it kind of in the channel with the wick on both sides, same channel again. I haven't gone for the crisscross setup of the dual coils. I've gone for the parallel side by side setup for the dual coils. I'm now going to tweak these coils slightly, just because they're pretty sloppy, to be honest with you. All this manipulating the coils and all that, for me, with my big bare hands, it doesn't bode well for the coil setup, which is why I will always tinker with it once it's in. You want to try and get them down as much as possible, if we're honest with you. We always assumed, or I always assumed, I think Worm was the same, that when you're doing dual coils, sorry guys, when you're doing dual coils, that you want them not to be touching. Obviously, if you can crisscross them, it's not such a bad thing. It's kind of handy because the amount of space isn't massive. You've got some space, but not loads. At this point, this is where I cut these two off. Okay, and I cut them about there. It's literally just to give the coils more wick, so more juice retention. So they obviously go in a bin, which means, depending on what resistance, you could be pushing seriously low resis through these. I've got 5 wraps of 30 gauge on each, so I'd imagine this is going to be a 0.7-ish coil, which is where I like it. But most of you guys, if you do that, will not be wanting to have one piece of wick. So basically what I've got there, if you focus, damn your camera, there you go, that's basically what I've ended up with in the ceramic of the Ithaka. If you take this piece, which has got your slots here, I'll explain what they are in a second. If you then slide it over and screw it down, off camera, if you slide it over and screw it down,
there's a lot of screwing here, guys.
There is a lot of screwing, but that will hold the wicks. Okay, so I'll worry about the rest of the screwing in a minute. I basically pull those wires tight like this, and I think I'm going to cut the wicks now. What I basically do very carefully is cut those wicks about there, in line with the O-ring at the bottom. Do the other side when necessary. You have a nut underneath here, if I can just show you that. You've got this nut here, and then you've got this O-ring. That's your positive and negative under the nut and under the O-ring. So basically what we want to do is, I will trim these up now, might as well, I'm just being lazy. Trim those up there. What you want to do is grab these two that we brought, let's move those out of the way, grab these two that we brought down here and wrap them, there we go, wrap them round the nut, or the top of the nut, sorry, like so. Okay, I go about 1.5 times round. Then you want to bring the nut, I'm off camera, damn it. You want to bring the nut up until it makes contact, just hold them wires in there. I'm going to try and zoom this out a bit more, I'm zooming in. So basically you've got the wires trapped in underneath that nut there. And then what you do for the negative, I believe, is it negative, this one?
Yeah, this is the ceramic side.
Ceramic side, yeah.
Yeah, negative goes under the
O-ring.
O-ring.
No, the O-ring is the O-ring the negative, yeah?
Yeah, it goes under the O-ring.
Wasn't entirely sure about that. Basically, then what you do is grab these two, and they go in between the O-ring, and you just slide that O-ring up. Personally, would have liked to have seen a another nut there or something, just purely because I don't trust O-rings. Now, we want to give the no-res wires a snip, the excess. You can twist the ones under the nut, but I wouldn't risk pulling it out just for the sake of having a little pair of snippers. And that's basically what we do. We then bring the rest of this body sort of cover down. You may get wick trapped in it like I am now, which is always fantastic when you're on camera. Just put it aside. This is one of the problems with this setup, guys. It's such a frustrating setup, for me anyway. If I've backed that off a little bit, you have to make sure you do have to make sure these wicks are really tight in there. Do you use 2.5mm in this, or 2mm?
3.
You use 3. I know that you had the problem, didn't you use 2.5?
Yeah, 3 did crunch a little bit when I was doing up this section of the
there we go,
centre post kind of thing in the middle.
Centre post thing in the middle.
Yeah, it is a little bit crunchy. I mean, I think next time I do re-wick it, I probably will use 2, just to be a little bit safe. But I'll let you know how that goes in a little update when I do eventually re-wick my one.
Again, basically, guys, I did mention these slots here and here. They are for sort of an auto feed. So if you have them there in front of the wick, both sides, it will have a constant feed of juice to the wicks, as well as your juice control at the top. I don't use these. I twist that way. Okay, I like to be able to control the total flow of juice to this device, just because I found it works better with certain things, certain juices, especially the runnier ones. They can be on the verge of flooding it if I have them actually open. So that's where I'm going to have those basically locked off, so I can control the feed totally. Then what we do is this section here, which is designed to go into a GG. If you are using a GG, you wouldn't have to use the bottom section. This section here, you basically take your build and screw it into there. Now at this juncture point, or whatever you would like to call it, I use generally needle noses, because both Worm and I have had the issue where we've just tightened this by hand, even though it's quite securely tightened by hand. And then we've used the juice control to alter juice, and we've actually unscrewed it, so it makes it impossible to control juice, and you have to pull the whole lot apart. So I do make sure that is quite nice and tight. Let's put that there for a second. We then get this is our airflow control, and I always get this on the wrong way around to start with, and today's no exception. If you look inside it, you've got an O-ring at the bottom. O-ring goes on the bottom first, like that. So it goes O-ring on first, and that obviously there will control your juice flow.
I do want to point out why we're doing the airflow on this. It doesn't really seem to control it in terms of like changing the amount of air you're getting through. It just kind of either on or off.
Yeah, I mean, even when it's off though, you can still pull air through it. It's not a proper seal.
So is.
Really?
Yeah.
I've not. It's hard to do, but it's not a true seal. And then you basically grab that bit that you assembled there and screw it together. That is the start of the makings of the Ithaka clone. Anyway, then what I would do, because I'm going to try and not do the mistake that we've both made, prime the wicks. Okay, this bloody autofocus. There we go. I'm going to prime these wicks. Not stupid amounts, but I'm going to prime them enough that when I put the juice in, I'm not going to have to leave it for an hour to soak in. So those wicks have had a little bit of juice in them in preparation for what's coming. I will then put this piece on, mouthpiece. It's a simple operation, just literally screw it down. Okay, and obviously when you've got your tank on and it's full of juice, that will be a completely closed position. If you haven't lined your air slots up, your juice slots up with a wick, then that will completely lock off all kind of juice. I like being able to do that because if you do accidentally flood it with juice control, and if you're as happy as me, you will, because it's up and down all the time, you can lock it off completely and vaporise what's in there, and then slowly start your juice flow again. So that is what that is. We then take this section, okay, and that screws on to the bottom here. Be careful with this section. This section hates me. Every time I rework this device, I then try to undo it, and that is bonded to the bottom. It's not for over tightening, and if you need force hammer to break it off. I then obviously take your tank section. This is polycarbonate tank, guys, so be careful with certain juices in here. Screw that on like so. You then have this section which has got your external threading, unlike the bottom section, so it's not like a K-form where you can use top and bottom, and then screw that one down. Screw it all down nice and tight while you've got the chance. We then have this section. As it comes, these two sections go together. If you're not got your eagle eyes on, you won't even know that they come apart, unless you've watched several Ithaka reviews and you've been really paying attention. So just bear in mind they do come apart to make filling it easier. Then you plop that over and give it a tighten down. Sorry for all the off camera here, guys. It's hard to try and pay attention to what's in front of you as well as what's going on the screen. And then you fill through there. So I will show filling it just because I can. I just sort of tilt it and let it run down the drip tip, filling it this way without a needle nose anyway. Hopefully you can see it. You can see that. Filling it this way without a needle nose can take a little while. This says it's got 4 mil capacity, this tank. I don't know about 4 mil. I think it's closer to 3 if I'm honest with you, but it is what it is. We're slowly getting a fill going on here, guys. It does take quite a while when you're doing it this way. Typically I would just undo that and plonk a load of juice in, but then you do lose some juice capacity, or I suppose you could top it up. With a needle nose this is a little bit quicker, but it's not as quick as you'd like it to be. On the camera I'm looking at it now, that hole or the gap between the drip tip and that threading does look quite big. It's not as big as it looks. It's quite a slow one, and you will just get juice everywhere if you go mad with it and start squeezing. It's not too bad though, 4 mil. If you've got to do this once a day, take a couple of minutes and you're pretty much done. Right, that's it filled, well as filled as it needs to be. You then take this piece, and because you've put basically juice all around that mouthpiece by filling it up, this will be a little bit stiff and then get nice and loose, and then we screw her down. One of the things I did want to point out whilst doing close up, this centre pin is not doing it at the minute, but every time up to this point that we this centre pin is sitting left or right, and so you're touching the 510, we have to use a screwdriver or something to actually sort of put it back in, which, to be honest with you, for the price you kind of expect build quality to suffer a little bit equally.
It is adjustable though.
It is an adjustable centre pin. You want to pass my screwdriver, please, mate? It's adjustable centre pin. It's got a lot of adjustment in it, a hell of a lot of adjustment actually. You just get the super screwdriver out to start it off because I can't get my hands in there. Basically, the idea of this is the same as the Ithaka that it's cloning. So you can undo it like, I mean, that's a ridiculous amount. And then you basically put it into your device and it'll pick up the slack itself. To be honest with you, I tend, as most of the mods that I use have adjustable centre pins, I tend to take it so it's just protruding, which is, for me, round about there. Okay, and I'll then bring my mod centre pin to this, and then make sure obviously that your airflow control is open. If you're using this on a GG, I don't know if that actually fits because we haven't got one to test it, so I really couldn't tell you whether that actually fits directly into a GG, but I'd imagine being a clone, it's going to. If you've got a genuine GG, I don't know why you'd buy a £20 clone though. That is what it is. These materials, they're claimed to be stainless steel, and there are bits of this that I believe are stainless, but equally there are also bits of this I believe to be chrome plated brass, one of them being this section here, basically the tank sections I believe are chrome plated brass, same with the top cap, and this piece here, drip tip, kind of in two minds about, but it doesn't feel heavy enough to be stainless steel, to be honest with you. The locking ring feels like stainless steel. Fasttech are a bit naughty with that kind of stuff though. It's not bad. It's not bad. For what you pay, it's not bad at all. But we will. Shall I test the arms on this? Really should test the arms on this, shouldn't I? I'm going to guesstimate 0.6. I don't know how to test the arms with this thing.
Same as Bavaria.
God.
Wonderful.
Right, okay. That was at ohms. 0.7, that'll do nicely. That's kind of where I like to be, guys. Obviously, if you want a coil that's going to be over sort of an ohm, whatever it is you want, obviously double your resistance. So if you want a 1 ohm coil, two 2 ohm coils, most guys I imagine will be using 32 gauge in this as opposed to 30 or 28, but this is how I like to run things. So what we'll do now is come back up to us, have a monumental vape and flap, I imagine. So yeah, come back up to us now, guys.
Alright guys, that was the rewick of the Ithaka clone, or Ithaka rebuildable atomizer thingy.
Magic.
Fasttech-y.
Indeed. Yeah, guys, after watching the monumental rewick, it's not bad if you can be bothered to do it. That's the thing. It's not like with the K fun, you just literally go, oh, I'll rinse it out. That's the hardest part, is rinsing it out. And you can just bang a coil in it, chuck it back together and you're away. Obviously it's a more expensive device, but building yourself up to rewick this fucking thing is such a pain in the arse. Well, it is for me today anyway. So I've rewicked this about 10 times now. It doesn't get any easier when you're twisting them wires, to be honest with you. I think once you've got your length of wire down to the resistance you like, and also so when you wrap your coils, the junctions end facing downward, you're okay. But when you've got one up and one down, and it went alright there, but it can be a complete pain in the bum.
Yes. I've only rewicked mine 3 times just because I tend not to use it, because I know once I use it too much, I have to rewick it.
So he rewicks it and never uses it.
No, it's got a juice in it that I think is alright, and it's not my main juice to go to at the moment. That was my juice at the time. Since then I've mixed some more. Why would I bother rewicking that for the sake of arse aggro, just to taste the juice, which I can rewick my Zeus in 5 seconds and be done.
Indeed. We might as well start with the whole clone thing straight away. It's up to you, innit? It's your choice. We bought them. We don't care what you do. If you don't like clones, then don't buy clones. If you do like clones, then buy clones. Part of it comes down to, well, what was you going?
I was just to say, the point of our channel is to help out everyone, not just people who can buy the high-end devices, but everyone as a general. We want to help the people who can afford to buy £10 atties, or to buy like the K fund, like £70 atties. I mean, we haven't yet delved into the £100-odd rebuildables and that, but I see it coming probably sometime after Christmas that we'll be buying quite a few of them.
Indeed. The main reason we haven't really is because a lot of the stuff that we have, we use, and we have got a lot of stuff, and adding more to it for the sake of review it's not something we mind doing. We don't. This is one of the things that we did do that, but if I'm spending 200 quid on an atty, I want it. Yeah. And I know that Worm's the same, and there are £200 atties that people love, people want to see reviews of, people have seen reviews of, and I just don't want them. Yeah. So we could buy it to sell it, but that's just not what we do at the minute. It's just not how we do it.
Contrast, the other day I was looking at buying a K-foam light, which I have now bought one. It's on its way tomorrow. But I was looking to buy a K-foam, but there was obviously none that I could get from in the UK at the time. And I was looking around and I was humming and hawing over an AC9, and I thought, I don't really want an AC9. I'm not going to spend £110 on that when I can wait a couple more days, get my K-foam for like £73 delivered, I think it was, and I'm happy, and I'm 40 quid up to what I would have been.
There you go.
So,
but the clone thing is, it's kind of, I do get it, I do, and I agree with it on quite a level, that someone's putting in their hard work, their time into a device, and it's then being ripped off. But I get the flip side of it as well. Part of it comes down to budget. At the end of the day, if you haven't got 160, 170 quid to spend on an Atty, but you want to experience something that looks like it, you like the way it looks, you want to experience some of it, then I can see why you do it. We have done it. We have done it, and I quite humbly admit to having had done it. It's not something that particularly bothers me, and the main reason being is that although people get up on their high horse about it, I can't see these clones affecting the genuine sale of the product, because the people that are buying the clones, barring the rare few out there, the people that buy the clones were never really going to buy the genuine article. They just wanted it and weren't prepared to spend the money on it.
yeah.
So the people that want to buy the real thing will buy it anyway. It's just the whole business with clones in this industry at the minute in the community is. I actually read a post somewhere on Facebook the other day. That someone got banned from UKV for talking about clones. Sorry, that just doesn't. Whether that's true or not, I don't know, but that's what they were claiming. The person who was claiming to have been banned for doing that. And if that is the case, then people really need to get off their high horses to ban someone for discussing them. If it's not the case, then fair enough, he's lying. But
I think the main point is that not everyone has got £160 every month out of their budget to spend on one atomizer. I mean, that's all it is when you look at it. It's 100. Well, if you're looking at the high-end devices as a whole, it's like £100 to £200 for one device. I'm sorry, but I mean, you go to these clone places, you can get 4 or 5 different ones. Have a little play, decide what you want, and if there's one that you really like, then maybe invest in buying the one that you want as the proper device. I mean, to be honest, when I'm looking at this is kind of like a beta test of the Ithaka for me. I wanted an Ithaka, I still do want an Ithaka. I don't want one that much that I'm prepared to go £160 this close to certain things coming out, like I'm buying the Xbox, and I've got Christmas coming up and birthdays and some of that sort of stuff. But to me, the Xbox was more on a priority list than the Ithaka, where I've got like my Baron clone, my Baron over there, sorry, not clone, he's got the clone. We've got drippers all over the place. We've got so many devices now. It's just I can't even name them all. I've got the fucking Genesis tanks coming out my arse, and I've already given one away. So it's just like I'm not wanting for devices. It's just a case of I do want one. I just don't want one enough to pay for it now.
There you go. But I think that is the thing with this whole clone thing, is that if people want the real thing, they will buy the real thing. And I think someone who buys this clone is either looking to see whether they want to buy the real thing, in which case chances are they'll end up doing it anyway, and if they're not, the intention to buy the genuine article was never there in the first place. I don't think the clone side of things is affecting the business as much as people think it is. There are certain things out there that may do, but this kind of thing isn't that.
No.
Same as the Russian, isn't really going to impact the sale of the K-Fund dramatically. I mean, don't get me wrong, the Russian is a spot-on device and it is cheaper. But then they come out with a light, and it kind of the light, how popular the light is, how many they've sold. We both have one. They're going to be making money there. And I know they've cloned that as well, but they cloned it for about 10 or less. You're going to spend a tenner.
But I don't want to say there is a positive side to this on the flip. I mean, I know people are putting hard work into like making these atomizers and that, but when you look at them like properly wholeheartedly, some of them that are like 160 quid, are they 160 quid vape realistically? No, they're just not. I mean, the price you can get for like the Zeus, for example, the vape on that is amazing. It's close to any other high-end devices as you're going to get for £13 I pay for it. I mean, don't get me wrong, it can always get better, but it's not so much of a gap that it's like is it a £140 gap?
These gaps, I believe, in most part, not all cases, but most part, you're paying for build quality.
Yeah.
That's what you're paying for, and a bit of exclusivity, and maybe a serial number.
But anyway, back to the point I was getting, the clones, yes, they probably do impact the device a slight bit, and they probably do. But the clones also do us a favour, for me and him, that we normally look around about the 70 quid mark, is kind of our budget. And if we want to get one device, we get one device, or we get 5 or 6 cheaper ones.
That's one device on a pun. 70 quid on a pun is our budget. I mean, if we want something more than that, we'll make sure we want it.
Yeah.
We will take a pun for 70 quid.
But basically the clones generally seem to knock down the price of the proper ones. Maybe not the cheap clones like this one. It's not going to touch the Ithaka. It's really not. The build quality is nowhere close to touching it. The vape is okay off of it.
We'll get into that.
Yeah, it's all right. But I'm talking like you said, like the Russian 91. Is it 91? Yeah, the Russian 91. It was a knockoff of the. It was a clone of the K-Fun.
K-Fun Light. Yeah.
Yeah, and obviously it's a little bit cheaper, but it's not miles cheaper.
It's about 7 quid cheaper.
So you look at it, it's just like, is it really impacting the K-Fun? No, it's not. The K-Fun is destroying the market. As soon as they come into any site in the UK, I know for a fact they sell out within an hour.
It's been watching them.
So
I think it just aggravates me that people get so annoyed about the cloning. Don't get me wrong, I get it, I do get it. It's not that we don't get it, but we don't get angry about it. We don't get angry about people buying cheaper devices or reviewing cheaper devices. As Worms put it out, these products are for sale. They are in this industry and they are being used regularly by people, and people want to know how they perform. I'm sorry, but we're more than willing to give people that.
yeah,
We're more than willing to give you what our experiences are with a device. If it's crap, it's crap. If it's good, it's good. If it's a clone, to us, it doesn't matter. A good device is a good device and a bad one's a bad one. That is as simple as it is, because people who are looking for these devices, I don't think we're really going to buy the genuine Ithaka, 95% of them anyway.
no.
So
You are talking like £140 difference on these two devices.
Yeah. It's a big
You're either looking in the 100 plus market, or you're looking in the under 50 quid market.
No, I mean, don't get me wrong, you've got the DHXTS, which is GGTS clone, and it's about 45 quid in this country. The GGTS is 100 quid more than that, give or take. And the DHXTX is a very, very good mod. But let's face it, let's realistically be honest about this. If people could afford the 145 quid one, they would get it. Okay? People who buy DHXTS were never going to buy GGTS because it wasn't in their price range. That's why they're looking at £45 and not £145. That's just how it is. And
I think another thing, to be honest, with the GTTS market and that, they are so hard to get off. They literally sell within 5 minutes of being live. They're gone. Quick. So let's be honest, the chance you get a GGTS, minimal.
Unless you're really on it.
Chance of getting one of these clones, easy. You can go on like 5 or 6 different sites we've seen them on. Always in stock.
It's just, it's one of them things, because we don't, people kind of see it, but a lot of people have got one opinion or the other, and I don't understand why there isn't a bit of mixture, a bit more mixture in amongst it. Particularly the forums, which is one of the reasons why we're not involved in the forums. I have signed up to the forums and Worms had a look at them as well, and I'm sorry, but I'm not willing to post on a lot of the ones that I view regularly-ish, purely because I haven't got time for this bitchiness. I just really haven't got time for it. I don't have time for it in my everyday life. Sure as hell I haven't got time for it for this.
To be honest, I struggled to get on Facebook enough to get on my own group that like Mr. Pro makes, and he's always on Facebook, so he kind of runs that. I do get on there the odd day, and I spend a day on there. But if I don't have the time to get on my own Facebook, I ain't got time to trouble other things where there's like loads of fanboys going, oh this and oh that, bugger off. I don't care. It's my money. I will pay what I want to pay for a device.
It's just because it seems like it's only with this industry. I mean, I'm not being funny. Take any manner of things. Why are people not getting the tomato sauce is not just sold by Heinz and Tesco's got their own value on? Why do people not care that Mad Cats make Xbox controls for half the price of an official Xbox one? But everyone is on their high horse when it comes to ripping off someone else's work. It happens every day in every industry. This is no exception. We're going to have to deal with it. It's not going to change. And that's my rant. Alright.
I think the only way to stop it would be
to patent these devices. If, let's face it, people want to make these devices, get them out quick to be competitive.
Yeah.
They don't want to wait for a patent, and this kind of stuff happens, unfortunately.
I mean,
that's how it is.
It's a business as it is. It's a business as a whole. If you want something to be solely yours, you patent your device. Then no one can rip it off.
I'm all one for supporting your country, I am. I'm all one for buying from where you live, and I'll pay extra to do so, I will. But it's not even about this was made in the UK or this was made in the US and you're supporting this cause. It's about, oh, this product is seen as the best because of the hype that we've surrounded it with, and la 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 la, and if you buy something that's ripping this off, then you are wrong. I don't agree with that, I'm afraid. I see both sides of the coin, and I sit on the middle of that fence because I'll fight for both parties.
Yeah.
But I don't agree with people being banned from UKV if that was the case for having their own opinion.
No.
So there you go. That is what it is, and that is the rant over with, guys. Sorry about that. It went on a little bit.
As we do.
So we'll get back onto the Ithaka
Clone.
Ithaka clone, yes. I can't believe they actually called it the Ithaka. I mean, I don't know, it's pretty cheeky. It's actually called the Ithaka Adjustable Rebuildable Atomizer. But a few of the features that we'll go over, just in general, because I wasn't paying too much attention in the rewick because I was rewicking. Obviously, you've got your adjustable juice feed there, which is handy. It's nice. It's nice to be able to do that. Different juices.
It's actually not bad threading, except for if you don't tighten that, like when we pointed it out, the bit where you screw the actual where the wicks are into your actual base. As long as that's tight, the threading on it is stiff enough that it's not going to undo in your pocket or in your pouch or whatever you carry your device around in, but it's manageable. I mean, that's turning it there, and it's a little bit resistant, but I would prefer that, to be honest. I don't want it silky smooth. I want it to be a little bit resistant.
I mean, a little cliff note, as with the genuine GG, to be honest with you, either Vaseline or lube up these with a bit of e-juice, these O-rings, particularly this one at the top with the juice control, because if it's not smooth, it's going to be giving resistance from that O-ring, and that is obviously going to be causing you having trouble getting your device to adjust its flow. The auto feed feature isn't bad. I've used it a couple of times and I've not used it a bit more than I have used it. I've never had a point when I've not been using it that I've been not able to feed enough juice to the coil. I have had it where I've got the auto feed on, and even with the coils completely locked off with a certain juice or two, that it has been not flooding, but on the verge. You know, when you have a vape and you can just kind of tell that coil's it wasn't even gurgling, but you could tell the coil was just slightly oversaturated. You wasn't getting the best of the vape. There's kind of a midway point, and it was just slightly over that midway point in terms of juicing. So take that into account, guys. How you set it up, I'm sure that if you buy these, you'll toy with it, you'll play with it, and you'll see exactly what you think, and you'll find your own sort of your way of doing it. Same with re-wicking. We did point out the centre post at the bottom. It isn't just ours. We've actually spoken to a couple of other people that we know have bought these, and they have had the same problem. That centre post is a little bit of a. You can in the top of the ceramic. There's a screw threaded. I don't really know what to call it. It's a piece of metal that's screw threaded.
It's like a nut thingy. Kind
of, but it sits in. You want to make. It's got two cuts out of it like that. You want to make sure they're in line with the slots in the ceramic. But even if you get a bit of pliers on them and you screw it up tight, by the time you re-wick it, it's come loose again. So. That's, again, you've paid £23, 13p for it. It's part of the build quality suffering for it.
You've got to expect it from a cheap clone like this, isn't it? It is a cheap clone.
It is a cheap clone. We did go into materials. We're not 100%. It just, if it is stainless, it doesn't feel like a very weighty stainless. So it's 303 and not 304 or 305 or whatever else. But
to be honest, I think if it is stainless, it's probably stainless with chrome plating.
It's definitely stainless with chrome plating. There's no two ways about that. But it's very thin if it is.
Thin stainless, yeah. But is what it is. It's a cheap
clone. The polycarbonate tank is actually not badly screw threaded. It's not one of them ones where it feels like you're going to cross thread it a lot. But I do know that Neil from the Facebook group had an issue with where he unscrewed it and literally the screw threading cracked off the top of the tank. So he had to find replacements, and he went to GG for those. So just be aware of that, alright? It's not something that we've actually suffered. The tanks are just fine. We've thrown quite a few juices in these, and it's not been a problem at all. So it is what it is. One thing I did want to point out quickly, I don't know if you're going to make it out, guys, but you see where the O-rings are on the tank, sort of here and here. The seal isn't sort of tight. Them O-rings obstructed slightly. Don't wrong, it's still perfectly fine. You're not going to get any leaks or anything else like that. It's just
but you can see the
O-rings.
You can
see the O-rings, alright? So it's just something that we wanted to point out to you.
And this is on both our devices, so
yeah, it's on all of them. It's just the O-rings there to obviously stop the juice coming out and make sure it's a nice seal. But a backlash to that where it isn't as well made, you see the O-rings. You have got to bear this in mind. These are niggles. They are more than counteractable.
You get what you pay for, basically. I mean, you're basically getting. I can't say it's an Ithaka vape because it's probably not.
We haven't vaped an Ithaka.
It's probably not. I mean, it's good. Don't get me wrong. It really is. I mean, for its price, £23 as a tank to take anywhere with you. great. I mean, especially since you can lock off your juice feed, so you know you're not going to get any leakage while you're moving around and that.
I have taken this to work quite a few times to use and abuse it before testing, and I've never had it leak on me. So that's obviously a plus thing. Just make sure you close the juice feed off if you're going to be seriously shaking it around, chucking it in the car, or whatever else.
Yeah.
I don't doubt it'll be fine, but there's no harm in preparation. That's what I was going to say. The airflow. I mean, as well putting out in the video, you don't seem to have. You have got a bit of adjustment. It does get slightly looser, but it's not like it's sort of tight and then there's very small adjustment. It is more of a sort of off, quarter on, half on, full on, 3/4 if you're lucky. But I mean, when that's fully locked now, the airflow's restricted.
Let's lock mine and see if it's on the same one. So
you do have to give it a good old suck, but it's not truly locking it off.
Oh.
Yours is, but
mine's a little bit better than.
Mine's not truly locking it off, so maybe it's an O-ring issue
Might
or
be an
something
O-ring
like that.
issue,
but mine's not truly locking it off. Again, though, I mean, it doesn't bother me. The air draw on this, in its most open position, 1.3 mil hole, 1.4 push equivalent, I would say. It's not quite as loose as my K-Phone Lite, and that's kind of about 1.5 mil draw. So this I'd say is more of a 1.3 mil. It's in between the Lite and the RSST, if that helps you at all.
Mine's getting sort of like it's either off, half on, with only a slight turn, and then fully on. It's just
okay. So he can turn his off completely. I can't, but I can adjust mine more than he can. Go figure.
clone.
But the draw itself, I run it in for the open mode, and it's actually quite a nice draw. It's
I do too.
It's not overly loose, it's not overly tight, it's somewhere in the middle. I vape devices that have quite loose draws, especially when I've been using, like for example, my RSST. I've drilled that bad boy out to like 2.5 mil, so that is almost like breathing. Compared to that, obviously this is quite tight, but
it's actually a lot tighter when you try and do a long pull. Try and do a long pull on that. It's actually a lot tighter than when you're actually just doing a mouth pull.
But I think that's because you notice the restriction more. When you're trying to lung pull, you try to put it in quicker and harder.
But that's just a thing for you to point out if you are a lung pull rather than a joint into your mouth and then inhaling it that way. So
there you go. What else do we want to go through with this bugger? I know there's bits and bobs. Sorry, yes, it is. Do you want to scroll down on your tab? It's a 23mm mod. I mean, I've got it on the 19 just because that's a 23mm mod and it does fit perfectly.
It's 22.9.
22.9, but then so is the Skilly 19. Let's face it, you're not noticing 1/10 of a millimetre. I work with millimetres and so does he, and we wouldn't notice that at a spot. So you're not going to notice it unless you've got an exactly 23mm mod, and then you may feel the minusculest lip there is. But then obviously you've got to bear in mind, guys, that your adjustment ring does come out further than the bottom of this device, and the adjustment ring, actually, the screw threading on this entire device, it's not bad. It really isn't bad. It all screws together pretty nicely. I'm not going to say it's well made, but it's actually
adequate.
Pretty decent. Yeah,
it's adequate. Yeah,
it is pretty decent. 82 grams is what this is, which is actually the same as the K-Phone with the metal tank attached. I think actually the K-Phone's 1 gram lighter, but we're not going to notice a gram when you're holding it in your hand either. So it's a fairly heavy beastie. So when you fill it with juice and stuff, you're looking at sort of near on 90 grams worth of ATI, which is, it's not.
K-Phone's what, 4.5 mil?
K-Phone's 4.5 mil.
This is 4, so when you get that half a mil in there, it's probably going to be the same weight.
Pretty much. But you have got the with this, obviously you've got the juice control, which you don't get with a K-Phone. It is what it is. 76.8 high, it says, and I imagine that is to the top of the drip tip. Off the top. You got that ruler? I'd imagine that's to the top of the drip tip because yes, it is, and it's actually lying. It's actually, mine is 71. Let me check yours.
Sure, it's not including the 510.
It might be including the 510. It might be including the 510.
It's a little bit tight. Did overscrew that, I think.
He screwed it in too hard. There we go. But that is what it is. We're just giving these measurements, guys. To be honest with you, we watch a lot of reviews, and you see it on camera. It looks huge. You see it even when you compare them to
76.
76 with the 510. So that's with the 510, guys. So it's about 71, 70 with the when screwed into the device. But we do watch a lot of reviews, and devices do look huge when you're looking at them. Those of you guys who have watched our Vamo review and then bought a Vamo, and when actually it is smaller than you think it's going to be, it's hard to give you a gauge. Oh, sorry guys, of how big it is. I mean, that's a 30ml bottle, but even still, it will look bigger to you now than what it does to me in front of me. I haven't had any issues with it, to be honest with you guys, apart from that centre pin and the fact you've got to use res no res wire, but that's not a fault of the device, that's a fault of the setup. Well, not fault, but a bugbear of mine because we haven't got a zapper. I imagine it will be with yours as well. Should we go to the 5-point hit list, or have you got anything else?
Let's go to the 5-point.
Go on then, you can hit first.
Looks 2 views on this. Compared to the actual Ithaka original, it's like a 5. But on its own, if you was just buying this as a device, it's actually quite good looking. It really is when you got it on like Skelly 19 right there. It's quite nice. 9, it is quite good looking. It's just a few little things like that. You can see the O-ring on the tank, kind of defeats the object a little bit. But other than that, it looks fine. It's really nicely plated and matches all the way down, except for obviously the knurling you got.
Yeah, it looks for me, compared to the Ithaka, I'm going to give it like a 6, the same as what I did. It doesn't look as good. As a standalone device, I'm going to give it a 9 as well. I think it's actually very good looking, but the Ithaka was very good looking. But as an Ithaka clone, what can you say? It's it needs a GG label, basically, which if you're after the clone is a good thing, obviously. So yeah, it does look like an Ithaka at a glance from far away. If you knew the Ithaka, you probably would know. If you didn't, no, I doubt you'd know. So that is what it is. I have absolutely raped the juice in this.
You've gone already?
I've only been vaping it for like literally we had 2 minute vape before we done one, guys.
There we go.
It's not gone. I've done about 2 minutes of it.
What's next?
Usability.
It's a little bit harder than your normal tank setup because obviously you've got your manual juice flow, which can obviously flood or cut off, but you can adjust it so you can sort it out yourself. But yeah, it's just a little bit more work. But if you're used to rebuildables, it's no more work than any other rebuildable. It's really not. It's probably a little bit less, to be honest, because you ain't got any worry about like your Jenny tanks being tilted upside down, the juice just falling out. It's not going to do that. It's only going to do it if you've opened your manual juice flow too much. So
sorry guys, if you couldn't it, close that juice feed.
Yeah,
I did, but I was trying to put it out.
About an 8 for usability, just because there are little like learning curves.
Usability, I think he's been generous, if I'm honest with you. Don't get me wrong, it's not anything that isn't the same with the actual Ithaka itself, but the juice flow control, very usable, very easy to get hold of. It's not a hard concept to grasp. Gets dry, open it more. Too wet, close it more. But that res no res build is just a pain. It is a pain in the bum. So I'm giving it a 6 for usability. Purely for that. Even if you've got a zapper, I know it becomes a lot easier, but even for me then it would still be a 7 at best, because you've still got to join the wires, calculate resistance. I mean, I don't ever calculate resistance, I just go, yeah, that looks about right. I know on Tasty Juice they've got a calculator that you can use, depending on what wires, and you just literally enter the required resistance and how many coils you're going to have, and it will tell you exact length, and it's actually pretty accurate. Obviously Basado set that up and he's done a good job of it, so that's wicked stuff. But yeah, for me it's getting a 6 as usability, because it's nowhere near as usable as a lot of other devices that just use res builds, but that's the same with the actual Ithaka itself. So
maintenance, there's a lot of pieces here, guys. None of them are particularly too small, except for the adjustable 510, which does come off, so that shouldn't really fall off. I mean, it does come loose, don't get me wrong, from the actual centre ceramic post thing you've got.
You can actually pull the ceramic out, can't
you? So you can actually pull that and wash that as well if you want to, but you've got to actually take apart your actual centre pin then, which obviously connects into your 510 device. It's not too hard, but like there are a lot of little bits in here, guys. There's like little O-rings that you can easily lose and you're going to have to replace. Maintenance on this is not very high, it really isn't, because the reason I said my usability was kind of higher than his, because I didn't include the re-wicking on that, because I thought that was more of a maintenance side on this device, because it is a lot more maintaining as well. Re-wicking this thing is a bastard. It really is. It's not horrible by great means, but it's not something you look forward to. You know, once you wash this out, you kind of sit there for 10 minutes while it's drying like that. So it's it's low for maintenance because there are lots of little pieces and yeah. 4.
Maintenance for me, there are a lot of pieces. It's 11 if you include taking apart all of the ceramic setup, including the post and everything else. You're looking at more like 18 different pieces, and that's without O-rings. There are a lot of parts to maintain. When you wash it, it's not too hard to wash. It's not much harder than the K-phone. You just put everything apart and just rinse it all. But then you've got to throw another coil back into it. I haven't found it too difficult to maintain. The coils, depends on how much you use them, and depends on what kind of vapor you are. I mean, Worm will vouch and has done in several videos that I recoil a lot, which is one of the reasons why I don't use this device loads, because the K-phone I'll recoil once every 2 or 3 days. If I'm really smashing it, 2 days. So for me, doing that 3 or 4 times a week, it's a pain. It is a pain. It's not something that isn't the same as the actual device it's cloning, and if you're fully prepared to do it, then it's not going to impact on how you're looking at this maintenance section really. But for me, I'm going to give it a 5. If it was an all-res build, it would be more like an 8. It's just that build is a pain.
Build quality.
Flavour and vapor, but we'll do build quality.
Build
As
quality
a client, we'll throw build quality in.
Just because there is a lot of pieces here and it does come quite disassembled a lot. The build quality is, like we said earlier in the video, it's adequate for what it is, for what you're paying for it. I mean, it is ripping off a £160 mod, atomizer, sorry, and it doesn't do a bad job. It really doesn't. The friends on it, on every piece that I've got on mine, fine. It really is. It's not crunchy or anything like that. Only when you get a bit of silicone wick stuck in the bit when you're doing the actual re-wicking bit. But other than that, the threads are good on it. They really are. They're not like bad at all. The only bit on build quality that suffers probably for me is the tank again. The fact that you can still see those O-rings. They could have put a smaller O-ring on there and it would have gone up flush and it would have been a little bit better. So, but build quality overall, 7. It's not bad. Yeah.
Build quality for me, I'm actually going to score this fairly high. Main reason being, I know you're paying 23 quid, but you're paying 23 quid, and you're getting a lot of pieces. The threading on them is actually better than some other devices with a lot less parts that I've bought for more money than that. It fits together well. I know the O-rings show slightly, but I'd rather have an O-ring that shows very slightly, and to be honest with you, you don't really notice. It kind of adds to the look. Then them not show and it have risk of leaking. It doesn't feel bad to hold. It's fairly weighty. It's not as weighty as an actual Ithaka, obviously, and there is a little question as to whether these are stainless steel or not. But I don't think build quality is bad at all. I think since you're getting all these parts and all these pieces for 23 quid, I'm gonna give it an 8 or 9. I think it's quite well built, barring that centre pin. And it's not something that you can't combat, and it is something that's happened with everyone that we know of. So just take that into account. But you're spending 23 quid on a device that, if you wanted the official one, is going to cost you 7 times that. That is what it is. But yeah, I don't think it's too bad.
Flavour and vapor. Obviously, this is going to highly depend on your coil that you wrap. It really is on this device. It's one of those devices. It's a rebuildable.
It doesn't all devices, but it's even harder.
It's even harder on this. It is. It is such a, like the first one we re-wicked. They both were poor at best.
Mine weren't too bad. They weren't too bad.
No, they were vaporable, but they weren't like.
You got to bear in mind, guys. This was our first res build.
Yeah, and well, it wasn't mine. I've done the.
You've done the Baron, but it's in a different league to it. Yeah. The setup's a lot more complicated.
Yeah, definitely. But now we've both got kind of pretty good calls in there. The amount of vapor is obviously going to depend on your juice, but they're kind of comparable to what we would use the same juice in something else. So the vapor of it is pretty darn good. It really is. The flavour, again, once you get your coil right, it's pretty good. It really is. It's you're looking at 9s on both.
For me, the vapor's getting a 10. With the right setup, the vapor will get a 10. The flavour, it's going to get a 10. I can't not give it a 10. I'm sorry, but this is that close with a good setup to a K-phone vape. I've vaped a K-phone a lot, and I've vaped this having set it up well. and it's not miles off a K-Fun vape. Now, we can't compare it to an Ithaka vape, but we can compare it to a K-vape. It's a lot more pain in the arse to build. It's not as built as well by any stretch of the imagination. It's more difficult to maintain, but it gets you close to that level of vaping. It does, and you've got 4mm. It's the same.
If you get the coils,
I mean, with the K-Fun, the taste of the K-Fun is very, very good. There are drippers out there that are better for taste. Worms Baron and the Zeus with the right builds in them are better for taste. Not by miles, they're close, but they are slightly better for taste with the right build on the right day. But it's having that tank, and the K-Fun's consistently good. If you are good at coils, res no res, this will deliver the same. It won't be quite as good as a Zeus or a K or a Baron, but it's not miles off either. It's a very good vape for the price.
Punches for you.
It's for 20 quid. I can't think of anything else that gives you what this does.
Yeah, I mean, I'm only going off my personal experience with my one. I haven't had the best coil in there so far yet. It's not hit it for me yet.
Yeah, I mean, you can have a go at that. You haven't played with it as much. I mean, Worm hasn't played with it as much as I have. I mean, I do get devices and I tend to sit there and really play with them. If I'm in the wrong mood, I'll do it once. I might touch it for a week. If I'm in the right mood, I'll sit there and put 7 or 8 coils in it, one after the other, until I get it right.
If you've been watching my vape coming off that one, it's not as good. It has got a higher PG juice in it, but still, it's not the right coil in there at the moment. But this is on there that's actually quite good.
But yeah, the vape is it's very close to a K. I know people out there, if you are one of these people that have got a K on them and going, that's fucking bollocks and la 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 la. I ran these side by side with the same juice on the same resistance coils, just that's a dual and that was a single on the same devices. And yes, the K was better. I'm not going to say that it wasn't, because it was, but it's not by miles.
Yeah, I want to, my flavour and vapour, I want to just go over that a little bit. On an average coil, it's about a 9. When you've got a good coil, it is 10s.
It does tick the boxes for the vape. I'm sorry,
but this one's smashing mild at the moment. I've got to rebuild that, but my one, I'm getting about 9s out of that at the moment. It's not a bad call by any means. It's actually not. It's the best one I've had in there so far. So it's performing quite well. It's just this is just a little bit better for some reason.
Because I'm a beast.
Racist.
Racist. But yeah, it is, and I know if you're watching this and you are one of those people, and we're not trying to offend anyone. Whether you be someone who would buy this or someone who really, really is against people buying these,
or someone who's got an Ithaka already,
we're not trying to offend anyone, but and you may disagree with us, but buy it and find out for yourself if you are one of those people. If you want to do your reviews, go for it. But it is nearly a K-Fun vape. It's not bad at all. It really isn't bad. It's actually very good. I'm not going to lie. Calling it not bad is kind of insulting. It's a very good vape. Overall,
I know I did give it quite a few low marks, but when
this is where price comes back into the equation, doesn't it?
when you look at this, is £23, and I've saved myself 140 quid. This device is, out of 10, it's like a 12. It just is when you get a right coil in it. But just be realistic. It's just a 10. It performs. It just does. Once you get your no res and res coiling down to a little bit of a T, as it was, you're not gonna miss. You're not gonna be sorry that you spent £23 on a clone. You're just not. It's good for its money. It really is. I mean, you can't knock it. It's all right. Yes, it's a clone and it's been shipped in from China or wherever. And yes, it's not as good looking as the Ithaka, and it's not as well built as the Ithaka, but it performs, and that's all that matters at the end of the day. If you're one of these people, like we said before, you haven't got the £160 budget, but you want to experience a high-end vape.
I mean, you can experience high-end vapes using drippers and stuff, but it depends on the kind of vaper you are. A lot of people just are against dripping because it's hugely inconvenient. Steve, I'm going to point you out. For me overall, maintenance was low, usability was in the middle, looks was higher, and the rest was higher. This is where I'm going to show my two sides of the fence, alright? I like this device, I do. It vapes very well, and if you are after an Ithaka clone, this one ticks the boxes. It's not like a lot of people who bought the Odysseus clone from China for about 15 quid, I think it was. They were really against it because it was crap. This is not like that. This does perform well. It is dependent on what you can do, but it does perform well. So if if you want one, then you won't regret that at all. You won't. You might regret it when you're building it for a while, but you won't actually regret it. My mark for it, for those people, is a 10. My mark for it for the other side of the coin will be a 0 because that's what they think. My mark for it, for me, it is a 10, but all it's done is make me want to buy an Ithaka. Okay, now I was sceptical as to whether I've nearly pushed the button a few times. I have, and I've always gone, nope, it's too expensive. It's too expensive. It's hard to justify when you've got everyday bills and children and things realistically that you could spend the money on. When you sit there and think, I've spent a lot of money already on a lot of different devices, and that could take my little boy on holiday for a week. You do, I mean, don't get me wrong, I still do that anyway, but you do kind of sit there and question it.
And you have to when it's that sort of device.
You have got to. I don't care how much money you've got. I
think even the people who go, oh, I've got £160 to blow, they're still going to sit there and go, I could spend £160 on that, or I could get a couple of cheap mechanicals and a few drippers and have 10 devices to play with instead of 1.
I know people who, see, this is where it comes down to, a lot of the guys on the forum will be like, oh, what's the best device I can get on a budget, and la la la, and a lot of people say, take the plunge, don't buy anything, save up, buy a K-Fund, you won't need to buy anything else. And people will fight this corner for the Ithaka as well. Once you've got it, you won't need to buy anything else. Problem is, if you are one of these people, you and I both know what the GG bug's about, and it doesn't stop at an Ithaka. It doesn't stop at a GGTS or a GG Storm, or you keep buying. So as opposed to buying several cheap devices, you buy several expensive ones. It does frustrate me on both sides of the coin, because I do see it, I really do, and I know you do. And yes, I do want an Ithaka. Anyone out there who says they don't want one,
I mean, we're bad enough for it as it is. I mean, I've got a Pravari. I knew when I bought the second one, straight after I bought the first one, I stopped myself. I did have a little bit of a bug there. Then I bought a Baron, 50 quid. It's a high-end price for a dripper. You've got to bear that in mind, it is just a dripper. You've got your K-Fun.
Several mechanicals, we've both got several of everything.
And we still want more.
The thing is, for me personally, I know I would buy an Ithaka. I would use the Ithaka. I would never take it out. I would never use it apart from anywhere indoors. And it would not be something that I used every day. I don't care what people say. I just would not use that every day. I'm one of these people who like to use lots of devices, and whether they cost £10 or £10,000 is not going to change that. If it vapes well, I will vape it. It's as simple as that. So yes, will I end up buying an Ithaka?
More than likely.
Probably I will. Would I love it? Yes. Do I love this? No. No, I don't. I like this. I do. I like the vape of it. But for me, it is as much about build quality as it is about vape.
In the same token, this is one of the devices, alright, it's a clone and it's cheap, but you like it, but you're quite happy to take this out all the time.
Yeah, I will use and abuse this.
If I went to the pub and I lost this, whatever. I will buy myself another one, or I'll take the plunge and buy myself a proper one. But then, like you say, if I had a proper one, it wouldn't go out. It really wouldn't. I mean, don't get me wrong, I've taken my Pravari out a few times and that's cost me 200 quid. But at the same token, it kind of does a lot of things. The Ithaka does one thing. It turns juice into vapour. And that's 160 quid on its own. That is in its bubble wrap.
For me, I mean, I'm more willing to do things, take them out, but it would never be one of them things that I took to work or I was using every day. We're busy people. We are busy people. When we're not at work, when we're not, I mean, I've got my son. When I've not got my son, when we're not at work, when we're not. Sorry guys, we had some technical issues to the video cut. But basically, what it's saying is, when we're not doing all that other stuff as well as this, is a very small amount of time. Incredibly small, in fact. So much so that 5 or 6 hours a week, if we're lucky, when we're actually together, and when we're not. Usually I've got my son, so the amount that would actually get used would be tiny, and there are other devices, and in that time we wouldn't just solely use that, so there are reasons why we haven't. So that is kind of where we're going. Sorry, lost train of thought. It's been about 10 minutes.
I have no idea where we are, so random item. Distilled malt vinegar.
It's made a comeback.
The brand might will come back. It's only because we're doing product reviews for companies that obviously they send us for free. Can't really find the random item there because obviously they want to put them on their website and whatever.
Yeah.
I'll throw out a load when I can.
Although this is e-cig reviews and we do take this kind of stuff seriously, we do. The amount of videos we pump out in the short time we've been doing it, we do take it seriously. So much so that it dominates most of our free time. But we're not just about showing you a product. I mean,
we like to have a laugh.
We do like to have a laugh, hopefully a little bit entertaining. If not, sorry. But it is one of those things, guys, with this device. We've been on and off this device this entire video. It's been up and down, left and right. Ultimately, the decision lies with you. Whatever decision you make, I'm sure you'll make it for whatever reason you want to. We make our decisions, you make yours, and no one this side of the camera anyway, is going to judge you for them. So, what are we doing now?
I don't know, I was thinking about some more random items, but I can't really see anything that's in reach. I can see stuff that's out of reach, but not in reach.
Are we done on the Ithaka clone? Let's tie one thing up before we start that one.
Do I want to add anything? Only just to reiterate, big words. Ooh. Reiterate that yes, it is a clone. Yes, we do sit on the middle of the fence, but we don't care which one you buy. We really don't.
It's your money. You do what you want to do with your money. If you want to save it and buy a real one, or you want to spank it on a new one, a real one. Sorry, it's completely your decision.
Or you want to do what we did and buy one of these, test it to see if you actually even like it, and the actual build of the device, because the build is basically the same, and then maybe think about buying a proper one. You might save yourself 140 quid, or you might be 20 quid more down because you've got a clone sitting around. But either way, you've got a clone that you can use and abuse outside, and Ithaka you can use at home.
I mean,
win-win, whichever way you go.
A lot of the reason we buy things to test out, I mean, yes, we was interested in genuine Ithaka. Had we not been doing this reviews, I can't speak for them, but I can speak for myself, I probably wouldn't have bought this. I probably would have just waited and bought the actual Ithaka. But a lot of people were asking us about them. We both kind of looked into them. We were quite intrigued.
In fact, we saw it before people said about it.
Yeah.
We was actually on Fasttech, and we was like, ooh,
maybe
Ithaka clone. We put it in the basket and forgot about it for a couple of weeks, and then people were saying on Facebook that you said, come around and said, like, people were asking about this, they've seen it on Facebook, Fasttech.
Asked if we was going to do a review of it and that, and we thought, well, do you know what people want to know?
It's in the basket. We was interested in the Ithaka as it was. Take a punt.
I mean, to be honest with you, that is what we do. We do what we do, one, because we do enjoy doing it. It is fun. At times it can be a bit of a pain.
Especially when we've got loads of, I mean, we do love doing the reviews for companies, we're not trying to say we're not, but sometimes it does kind of go, sometimes we get like 8 parcels in a week and we've got like 25 things to review in a week, and we're just like...
We're not complaining, but sometimes we just want to break loose and do what we want to do,
yes.
Which is how this started.
I think more to the point is, like, sometimes like when we're both working, we get home, or we get back to mine, we have something to eat, we chill down for 5 minutes, and then we think we've got like 5 hours of recording ahead of us, and it's not like we hate it, because we really do thank all the companies out there that send us products.
As well as the people that are watching these videos.
And obviously, yeah, you guys for watching them, but sometimes it's like another job at the moment, and sometimes it does, like sometimes like last week you'll notice that we didn't really put up many videos. We was both on holiday I was on holiday from both my jobs, he was on holiday from his job, and I said I am not doing any reviews this week.
And I was quite happy.
Foot down, I was
quite, basically it was, we're not doing any that week, and we're going to have to smash them out this week.
Yeah,
but that is this is why we do it.
I think this is why we've got such a long flapping video, because we've had a nice week where we've rested and we're all a little bit more back in the zone again, because it was just like not having a day off. If you've ever done one of those jobs where you're working like shift rotors, but you're working like 4 weeks straight, the first week you've got 3 weeks off of, you're just dead, and you need to like revitalise yourself, and I think this week done
revitalised.
Yes.
But yeah, that is what it is, guys. As Worm was saying, we'll be getting back to it. But what you do with your money is totally up to you. There's no judgment on our part anyway. We will review whatever comes across our path, whether we buy it or not, it doesn't matter. And obviously the reviews will be genuine, as they always are. And we do, to be honest with you, YouTube is only part of how active we are. The Facebook group at the minute is approaching 100 strong. It's not massive, but it's very active. As Worm pointed out, I'm able to get it more than he is. But we're always on there trying to help people out, and that's why we do this. All right, it's not, we don't really benefit from this. Yeah, we got lots of stuff sent to us for free. 90% of it goes out to
one
other people.
person on our Facebook group who's going to send us down it's a 2-part device you have to buy separately, but he's going to send that down for us to try, and we're going to send it back to him. And we're more than happy to do that. I mean, if there's anyone else out there who's got something that we don't want to buy, that you want a review of, we don't mind. If you want to contact us, send it to us. We will it will not leave the house, sort of thing. We won't be abusing it down the pub or anything like that. It'll be used at home in special conditions and sent back to you in the quality that we got it in. So, but
it is what it is. We do this because obviously we do enjoy it. That's why we started this, because we enjoy doing it, and we started
this as we were sitting here and we was like bored, was vaping away, and we was like. Watched a few reviews, and there was like 2 people out there that we actually really liked at the time, which was Scott.
Not going to name them.
Yeah, we are.
No, right.
Yeah, Scott and Peter Sardo.
No,
and will Todd kind of come in
Todd's easy reviews.
more towards now, sort of thing.
And also Grim as well. And basically, the big YouTubers, the big YouTubers that people are aware of, typically is where that I will sort of go. I mean, we don't sit and watch adamant YouTube videos over and over and over. We do watch them though. And we was like, do you know what? Everyone else is doing it. We might as well jump on.
Throwing our 2 cents.
Throwing our 2 cents. And to be honest with you, most of the time, guys, when this camera isn't on, we're doing exactly the same that we're doing now. It's just we're not sitting in these positions. We sit here, we chat about devices, this, that, and the other. So we thought we might as well stick a camera on and see what happens. And that's got us to where we are today. But yeah, it's your choice. Do what you want. It's totally up to you. We generally don't care what you choose to do. That is your decision. We're just trying to give you as much info about what is out there so that you can make an informed decision about what you're going to do with your money, because there are a lot of devices that people don't review, and it's not a crying shame, but it is a little bit of a shame that there isn't more information about these devices with the amount that is on this market.
We are trying to cover quite a range, aren't we? We are trying to get everything
from start to end. We try and cover everything, because there are different levels of people out there, different levels of vaping, with how confusing this vaping malarkey can be. Too much information is better than not enough.
I'm quite sure there's a few guys watching this now saying like probably a couple of weeks ago when we put out a few starter kits, and people was like, oh, another starter kit? I don't need a starter kit. But there are people out there that still do. There are new starter kits coming out all the time for new people to get off the cigarettes, and they could generally be better than the old stuff. If they're not, we let you know. And we like to cover the ball at all times as much as we possibly can. We may be going backwards and forwards, drippers 1 week, juices a lot at the moment, but juices are there for people to vape. People buy them. People want them. People want reviews to know what they are. I mean, especially the ones that we preferably, or we like doing, is ones where they put it on the same page, because it helps us out with views and it helps them out with sales. Because if they're getting an honest review on the page, people haven't got to search YouTube or whatever. It's an all-round win. We're getting some juice to try. You're getting a review to sit there and watch, and hopefully fuel your boredom.
Then loads of people we know get all the rest of all the juice afterwards.
Yeah.
So it is one of those. I don't know what else we're going on to now. This has been a flapping video, like I said. We've had a week off. We've had some pent up flapping, and this has been the video that we've done it in. So if you were just after a quick review, sorry. I imagine you've skipped a lot of this unless you're one of our regular subs, in which case you've just watched it for the lols. Are we done?
I don't know. We always say, are we done? And then 5 hours of flapping encore.
Encore. No idea. It's been a semi-update video and just a little bit of a chill made with a worm and proton to let you know how we roll. I think we are done. Otherwise we can just sit here looking at the camera and just you'll be basically here with us as we are.
We should do one like that one day.
We should not have this discussion now.
Live with the worm and proton.
Live. If you want to do live with the worm and proton, you've made it this far in the video, you probably deserve a live with the worm and proton, so let us know in the comments and you can have it. Thank you very much for watching, guys. I've been Mr. Proton. This has been the worm.
The wiggly worm.
The wiggly worm. We'll see you soon,
See
guys.
you soon, guys.
Every time I look to the side, honestly, I don't know what my problem is, guys. I really don't. We are going to keep going. Every time we do a video, right, we stop the video, and as soon as I say see you soon, he says see you soon, I instantly think the camera's just immediately shut itself off. It knows what we're doing. It has some kind of sensor that knows when we're finished, because that's the kind of camera this is. And I'll turn to the side to grab my drink. Bear in mind, I've been drinking during the review anyway. I don't know what I do. I really don't know. I need serious help.
He's finally admitted it.
I've admitted this all along. Just now it's viral. Well, we was going to end, but obviously we keep going.
Right, seriously guys, we are going now. So
no, my turn.
Your turn.
Right, guys. thank you very much for watching. I've been Mr. Proton, this has been a worm. Hopefully we didn't bore you too much. We shall see you soon.
See you soon. Turn away? No.